That's right. Ethan will poke him if he mumbles. Okay. Are we
Okay,
ready?
we can start.
The floor is yours.
The floor is ours. The meeting has come to order. Temporarily, while Hetty is away, we have two temporary co-chairs. And this is Ginger Lee and Celia Knight, me. So I'm starting with the agenda. And the first item is the consent calendar. Yeah, we could start with the minutes. I know we have a correction for the minutes, but if anyone else, Ginger has a correction. If anyone else has a correction, please state it now.
If you want to say what my correction was.
Absolutely, I want to say what Ginger's correction is. Under adjournment of the meeting, the last sentence, results of the election are reported in the summer 2024 newsletter. We are going to take that out. That's not absolutely correct. Instead, Ginger and I propose that we insert a new sentence as follows. A list of the board of directors can be found in the summer 2024 newsletter at the top of page 3. So there was no true report of the election. It was just that the current board and officers were listed. So I think that may take care of the corrections for the minutes. Are we agreed on that?
Yes,
I second, and
Second.
minutes accepted. Do we have a treasurer's report?
Yes. Ready for it?
Yes.
All right. And perfect timing because I accidentally deleted it and just restored it. So it was perfect. Anyway, I'm sweating a little bit. Anyway, happy to give the treasurer's report. I'll start with a cash flow for the month of May. We closed April with 53,715 in the bank. In the month of May, we had a net cash outflow of $5,221. Top drivers of the outflow were primarily driven by the $3,800, 3,802 to be exact, to the bid to fund Street Love for 6 months. Newsletter production, 1,280, the $1,000 contribution to honor Cynthia with the park bench. And we also refunded the checks for the block party vendors, and that totaled $660 in May. For income, $444 in contributions, $925 in newsletter ads, and a $70 cash contribution from the planting event we had. For our balance sheet as of today, about an hour ago, we had $48,120. Again, that's as of today. Can I answer any questions?
was there the money from Bloomingdale Bites, has that been included yet?
Not, sorry, Gary, not yet, Amy. Bloomingdale Bites will be included in June. Because that-
Okay.
All right, that's what I have. Hope I
Thank
did
you.
okay on my first report. Did I cover everything we usually cover?
Wonderful. And will that report be sent out?
Yes.
Splendid. The third,
Well, just
excuse,
before we say that, I don't think we're gonna send it out. We're gonna put it on the website that we have.
Okay.
It's only accessible, I think, to the members of the board. Isn't that our idea, our rule? The only thing that we make totally public, I think, is the annual report. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yes.
Right, so it should not go on the website, it can be shared with
Well,
the directors.
I thought that what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a website on the finances that.
Yes,
that
that-
only the directors.
That'll be part of the Google workspace,
Yeah,
so it's not the
it's not
web,
set up.
it's not the
That's right.
102 to 103.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right.
Is there a way that the board members can receive a copy of the treasurer's report?
Yes, what we can do right now is we can put it in the block association Google workspace and just have a folder where the access is restricted to all the directors. So we,
Starting this month?
I don't see why not. I could work that out
Yeah.
with Ethan and Gary.
Sure.
It's not hard because we have the Google workspace already, so there's no, it's very simple to just create a folder and give only the directors the permission if that's what's wanted, which I think is what the intent is, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is
I-
Hetty,
Sorry, I was just, I thought customarily it's sent out as an email to the board members. I mean, I have no objection to putting it on the Google thing, but usually isn't it sent out before the meeting or around the time of the meeting to all the board members as an email?
so what I would recommend is that we put it on the block association Google Drive and we send out a link to that report by email. So that way we can begin the process of having all of the reports in one place, which is accessible, restricted to the people who need access to it.
well, could we begin that process in July or August
Sure.
rather than now?
So we could, the simple thing is that, Ethan can just send, this report around to all of the board members. So for this month and,
This month?
and then start, and we'll put it on the site as well.
Yeah,
Peter, and
again, it's not the site, it's the Google
the
workspace.
workspace.
So when we talk about the website, it's the public website for the block association. So and that's where we would put the annual reports, but the monthly statements should just be restricted to those people who need access to the cash flow and the disbursements.
Yeah.
I have another question. Is Hetty attending this meeting?
No, she can't attend tonight.
Oh, okay. Because I'd like to make sure that she's aware that we're starting to do this with the Google Workspace starting this month or July.
Sure.
And once again, I thank you, Ethan, for being patient with us and presenting the treasurer's report as you have.
My pleasure. Thank you.
One more item on the consent calendar is the Bloomingdale Aging in Place May report. And they continue with their meetings and their activities. They have a Tai Chi and a yoga group that they're quite pleased with. They're meeting in the library, the local library, the Bloomingdale Library that's on West 100th Street. So that pretty much completes the consent calendar. If any questions?
So we're all accepting the 3 reports.
So,
There's a second,
A second,
any objections?
No,
all in favor?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so the next item is old business. First item under old business is the treasury funds investment, and this is a matter that Gary, Ethan, Hetty, and I have been discussing. And we'd like to share our observations with the group. Gary, would you like to?
We have about, around $48,000 even after the, big expenditures that we made on the streets and other things on this, and, you know, if you look at the budget that I put together a while ago, it looked like we were not gonna expend, you know, based on reasonable projections, we're not gonna spend more than about $15,000 dollars over and above our revenues over the next 11 months of the year. I hate to see all that money sitting there, not gaining any interest on it. It's you know, our interest rate is less than 1% on it, and I mean, a lot less. It's like 0.03% or something like that. And Chase has their current rates, at least as of a week ago, when I looked down, I asked them about it, are that if we put $25,000 into a CD, it'll yield 4.25%. And it can be done sort of interesting. You can get that either by doing it for a 2-month CD or a 9-month CD, and nothing in between, because you know, that's their policy, because they have a limited number of things that they do at what they consider a long-term you know, fund and short-term fund, but in the middle they want the flexibility to change their rates. So what I'm proposing is that we invest $25,000 in the fund for 9 months. That'll give us, if my calculation is right, let's see here, 25 by 4 is it's about $750 that we'll earn by just putting it in that account. So I would like to move that we invest it in a 9-month CD, $25,000.
I second that, but before I second it, I want you to know I had an email conversation with Patty, and she favors investing in a CD. We didn't discuss the particulars, but just so you know that.
Just to tell you what the difference is between 2 and 9 on it, anything in between that, you get 3%. So it's worth either going long or short. So,
Okay.
motion and second.
I second.
Any more discussion?
No.
Want to take a vote? Ready for the vote?
Favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Passes.
Me too.
Did you hear me, Amy?
Yes.
Okay.
Is Mary on the Zoom?
No, Sharia is on the Zoom.
Sharia?
Hi. It's been very long, so I was free and I decided to join. Very nice to see you all.
Likewise.
Good.
So, I guess we can go on to the second item in the agenda, the next item, which is a discussion of the election of vice chairs. And I don't know anything about that.
Amy is probably the person that does, is that right?
I have no idea why that's on there. That may have been Hetty's edition.
Yes, she actually asked for someone that could be second for her. You know, maybe some of the administrative work, and so that was a thought that I think she brought up. But we would like to discuss it later time, we sort of a table. So here it is again.
So, my recollection is that it was something that Hetty and Amy were gonna talk about in terms of if they were, to have some sharing of responsibilities on this stuff, what that would be and what it would be called. Do we have a resolution to that or?
I'm not comfortable with us discussing this until Hetty and I have talked about it, which we haven't since the last meeting. So I would suggest we table this until she's back and she and I have discussed it.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone else?
I'm
Yes.
fine, I'm fine, yeah.
Now, the next item is the spring fundraiser aftermath. Unfortunately, this fundraiser was canceled, but would we like to discuss the aftermath of that decision? Is there anything that needs to be discussed?
Well, since Shari is here, I can ask her directly. What we've been doing is collecting the names of the vendors who did want either paid for spots or wanted to pay for spots, and we're keeping that in case we try to do this again next year or in some form next year. Shari, I think there's still some names you were gonna forward to me from emails.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance, but there were some more names. I would say about 10 more names that reached out to me. I'll add it onto your Excel sheet and send it back to you. I know I've not been on top of things, so I apologize for that.
So were those people who may have filled out vendor forms, or do you think they?
No, it was just interest in filling out the forms. They did not send in the checks.
Okay, got it. All right, so that'll be useful for
Yeah,
next.
for future, I think that would be good to have a list of names that, showed interest.
Right. Okay, great. Other than that, I know that what we ended up doing was referring everyone who was interested in a table to the 104th Street yard sale, which will be September 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand they've gotten quite a few of those people who may have contacted them anyway, might have done tables at both, but a lot of those people did contact them. And West 104th was very grateful to us for doing that.
Okay, so would you like for me to, in the meantime, the people that have had reached out, would you want me to redirect them to 104th Street then?
I can do it if you
Yeah,
if
I
you
can
send
send
me-
you the list then. Yeah.
Yeah, however is easiest for you, with just the names and the emails, or if you want to fill them into the sheet, whatever is
Yeah.
easier.
I'll fill them into the sheet and maybe highlight them so that you can recognize the new ones.
Great, thank you so much. That's great.
I would like to add something to this discussion. Casey Rice and I had an informal discussion with Carmen Quinones, who was president of NYCHA Housing. And she,
Tax Association.
Tenants Association, NYCHA Tenants Association. She seems to be interested in a spring fundraiser for this neighborhood. And I can't say much more. I think it's an idea that we need to follow up on later on, sometime maybe at the end of this year or early next year, to see if there's enough interest.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
I think, I just have a couple of impressions on this. One is that, I think we got started a little late on this year. And we didn't really have an idea other than repeating what we've done in the past in terms of a street fair, as to what we're doing. And I must say, I was really encouraged by the Bloomingdale Eats thing. You know, something new, seemed to have a really interesting group of people who came, participated in it. And I thought to myself, well, maybe we could even this fall sort of make a decision on some event that would be new and would be different, and that would still attract people and things. Part of the thing, so I think what I took from it as a kind of lesson is we should probably start thinking about it like in September, not you know, after the new year, and look for something that is a new twist on this, and let's let 104 do street fair in sort of traditional form that we had done it in the past. I don't know that we need two of them like that in a year. We could add something, some different kind of. Somebody mentioned, you know, why don't we do a music event? Having various groups that are playing different kinds of music on it. That might be a really interesting new twist on it as well, that people would draw people. So that was my at least sidelines view of what we might do moving forward.
I'd just like to add to that. I'm very much in favor of expanding our community footprint. We, you know, the Columbus at Amsterdam bid has quite a large footprint that, and they of course did Bloomingdale bites together with us and unfortunately Block Association. And the NYCHA campus is not just the Amsterdam to Manhattan Avenue campus, but also includes the NYCHA addition, which is west of Amsterdam Avenue, which also includes the row houses on 103rd Street. So, you know, our park slogan is probably know is park to park, the Douglas at its heart. So I'm very, and all of our youth ambassadors grew up in the Douglas campus. So I'm very supportive of this idea. And Carmen Quinones does a lot of good for tenants that have problems within the NYCHA campus, and they have their share of problems that she's very actively trying to deal with. And you know, there are, that said, and Columbus at Amsterdam bid has a good amount of experience with this, as does the community board. So maybe it's something that Amy, her role in the community board, could explore as well. There are other groups within NYCHA that are also community oriented. On a good day, they get along very well. But there aren't all, you know, not every day is a good day, but there are other groups there that do a lot of good things. React is another, is another one. And Russell Taylor, who is one of the leaders, is also a React leader. So there are a group of people within that community that could be consulted here. The other organization is WISFISH, that operates what's called the older persons, used to be called the senior center, but now I guess it's more fashionable to call us older persons. Anyway, it's at 868 Amsterdam, and they're wonderful. They do a great job, and they're very, very popular. We've had events that have utilized some of the instructors that do chair yoga and other things at some of the open street events, and they are Wishfish has the management contract for the NYCHA older adults center at 868. So they're a whole group of there's a whole cast of people who might be interested in working with us on something like that. And I think the bid is probably a good place to start. And the other organization really is the AIP, because their footprint includes all of this as well. Anyway, I love this idea of being more inclusive, expanding our scope of interest eastward a bit. There are some, really wonderful people who I've gotten to know. Everybody loves our youth ambassadors, so to them, but their families and many other people. And the other kind of community fundraising, very good recipient of a nonprofit that I think everybody really appreciates is the Bloomingdale Inclusive Playground, which is at 104th and Amsterdam. And big smile on Celia. So they're their own nonprofit, and there are just lots of people in the community from both NYCHA and a larger footprint that use that, where it really is a model of an inclusive playground. It's won all sorts of architectural awards. Have you been there, Gary? Yeah, it's really
Very nice, yeah.
it's really nice. So there are things like that we can also collaborate with on community fundraising that NYCHA would also be especially interested in, because their residents are big users of that space as well. And of course, Hostling International is actually on the NYCHA campus. 3 landmark buildings that we have on 103rd Street. Can you name them all, Ginger?
I have them, but I don't have them on the top of my head right now.
Yeah, so it's the Master Apartments, the Marseille.
Is Gerson House?
No, that's actually not.
Well, the Masters, I believe.
Yeah, the Master, the Marseille, and Hostling International are the 3 buildings.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Rich, so we're very lucky if we had people on the street that have us. Pretty amazing.
And I think this idea of broadening the community is also very valuable. Actually, like St. Michael's Church, having open policy, and so that extension of bringing in the neighborhood to
Right,
well-established places that have just been more inclusive,
right.
and opening the doors on all of us, that we all should share in this property.
What's great about this neighborhood is there are such just amazing community partners that are all St. Michael's is one of them. Romaine is, Hostling International, Wishfish. I mean, we're really, very lucky to have all the AIP, the bid. We have this the halfway house. We have a lot of really civic-minded organizations that we can collaborate with. Yes, we should. I'm just delighted that we're so interested in being with them. So I've been an advocate for years.
Richard, we are talking about the spring fundraiser aftermath. Do you have any parting thoughts about the canceled 2024 spring fundraiser that we tried to hold?
Not really different from what I expressed last month. I mean, I think it's a great event to build community, but if we don't have someone able to run it, and if it's a money loser, or if we're not gonna be making money from it. And if times are changing and it's not what people are interested in, we should be creative and think of other community building events that are doable, that can, you know, bring the community together, but that aren't so much of a time commitment when we don't have anyone running it. And that either make money or don't lose money and don't risk money. And events are hard. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into them. Or, yeah, if you're just looking at it financially, a lot of time and effort for low return and high risk. But I think it's a question of what are the goals and how do we come up with something that achieves the goals.
Thank you. Can we proceed?
Yeah.
The next item is honoring Cynthia. Amy, are you ready to talk about that?
I don't have any new information. I know we have enough and, you know, we can do the bench. I think the way we last left it is we were going to try to coordinate it with the street naming if that actually happens. And we were waiting to hear from Shawna Braille's office to see whether that was going ahead. But the idea was to try to do it in the fall sometime with her family. And we were talking about people scouting out possible benches in the park that might be the right choice for her. So I think this is a little bit on hold until we hear back about the street naming.
I understand. I think we need to proceed to the next item, which is Bloomingdale Bites event recap. Are we ready to discuss that?
I think so, yeah.
Did the people see the video of everybody eating and having a good time?
I thought it was a terrific video. Who put that together? Did you put it together, Amy? Who did that?
No, it was the bid had I don't know, Peter may know more about this than I do, but they had some association with this group that was filming it. Do you know, Peter?
I don't know the name of the group, but yeah, they're very good at that, so.
I mean, it didn't include any of the history stuff, which was pretty great. There were some problems with the microphone at the beginning, but I was just so impressed by tables and tables of people after they ate, sitting there and listening and being so absorbed by the presentations and asking questions. And some people left, but not a lot. I mean, it really felt like a well-attended event that people really enjoyed for different reasons.
Why don't we combine the last discussion with this discussion, and if we're talking about
Yes.
community events,
Exactly.
having schlock on the street does not seem to attract people. Having good food for a low price does.
Okay.
So maybe we do some kind of food festival on the street and get local restaurants to come out and, you know, find some way to have people sit and interact with neighbors. And
I mean, the plan is, we're meeting on Thursday, West 104th and Hetty and me and the bid people to do kind of a postmortem on the event, but I think everyone feels like we want to do it again. And there was some discussion about doing it more in winter time, so I wouldn't want our, whatever new event we're talking about to step on that. So maybe food isn't the focus, maybe something else is, I don't know. I mean, it's all up for discussion.
So I don't know that it would step on it. I think it would evolve it. But ideally with the same players, but imagine turning 103rd Street into a food festival for a day and getting local restaurants to come out. I think, you know, my issue with the event with the Bloomingdale Bites was that there was too much demand. It was too popular an event and it was crowded and there wasn't much food left, which is all in my mind a huge sign of success. And it shows that there's greater demand and that the youth hostel was not big enough. And probably the price was too low. But yeah, I think if we're creative and work with the same partners, we could come up with something bigger, better, you know, fundraiser. You could charge $25 instead of 10. I don't know what the magic number is, but it could be a great fun event.
Okay. So I would just like to, you know, from a practical matter, to one of the reasons why this was a success was because of the bid, and the bid has a staff. They have, you know, and going to our struggle with doing our own, you know, block party with just all volunteers. They have a full-time staff of 5 people, and they have some part-time people, and they've been doing this for a long time. So Hostling International, the Bloomingdale Neighborhood History Group that did the slideshow, these are all people, you know, BAIP, that they have been working with over the years. Park to Park could not, you know, they were our community partners from the start. So in terms of furniture, help with permitting when we needed it, tents when it rained, and all of these other things. Street Loves is another example. I mean, they're there with, you know, brooms and buckets and reflective nest and pickers and you know, Gary and Ethan don't have to worry about cutting checks to everybody. They do all of that, and they do it very efficiently and in a very admirable way. So I think that, you know, I think we should continue to do that, but we shouldn't, you know, it was great to participate as volunteers in that event, but it could not have happened without the organizational, you know, belt and suspenders that they have in place. And I don't want to, you know, they don't have huge amount of resources either. They're pretty tapped out, but I think they represent an excellent vehicle toward working with us, and they're perfectly happy to do it on West 103rd Street, which is well suited for this kind of activity or other places. But we shouldn't, you know, and we've experienced this ourselves, we shouldn't underestimate the number of, you know, staff hours that went into organizing all of the volunteers and the people who participated. And there's a lot of people, and they've been doing it for a lot of years.
One thing I was struck by, this is sort of a postmortem on the street fair, is just how difficult the city has made street fairs. It's, first of all, the fees are very large, you know, $300 application fee. Second, they want 30% of the resources that come in on it. Third, they won't give you a rain date on it. And so it occurred to me that one of the nice things about using the hostel was it was indoors and you didn't have all of those kinds of restrictions to it. And I wondered if we could even contemplate, if we wanted to expand the event beyond what you do indoors there, maybe we could use the playground across the street.
Well, the hospital also has a very nice outdoor space.
Yeah,
And garden space that was all
yeah,
part of
we
it.
could use other
Yeah.
things other than street spaces on it.
Yeah.
The street
Can I,
view is really, really difficult to do.
They're all just realistically, they are also strapped for resources, Hostling International, so they don't have a lot of, extra bandwidth. They will do these things and they're wonderful to work with, but they also, their economic realities all over the place.
can I just add that they usually have a fee for using their ballroom. I don't know if Bid paid it or we got it free, but all those restaurants we got for free because Bid went out and did all the legwork involved with that and promised to promote the restaurants. And then as Sharia can also attest, the permitting process is such a pain. And if you have food on the street, you have to have a food permit. And in order to get the food permit, you have to have running water that you're running from some building. I mean, it's almost impossible. I'm just saying, I hate to be a naysayer, but doing it on the street with food is going to be complicated. And honestly, I'm almost relieved that we didn't risk going ahead with it on June 15th because there are just a lot of issues that come along with it. So that's all I'll say about the food part.
I also agree with Amy about the permit process. It was a pain.
I hate to say I told you so.
Will we be,
It's terrible. I mean, the safeguard for permitting process is awful. I mean, with all of our fiscal sponsors, we've written about this. Worked with the mayor's office and changed over the years. It's only gotten worse, really. It has changed, not for the better.
will we be promoting the restaurants from the vibes?
That's a good question.
I mean, we should at least, so that we were
Yeah.
pleased that we had
Yeah,
that participation and how people enjoyed it. Give them a little push.
yeah.
Excuse me, could you repeat that, Ginger?
I was just suggesting that maybe we should be sure to include, the restaurants to help them in the next newsletter.
Yeah, I think that would,
Promoted by restaurant.
I would even say do an email.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do something in advance.
With their logos. How many restaurants did we have?
I think it was 11 or 12.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3,
Oh, she's got it there.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, at least 11.
yeah, great.
No, we should, is somebody in the business of writing thank yous to the restaurants?
Hetty usually does thank yous for us. So Hetty usually does the thank yous that we do, so we
Exactly.
could ask her.
We nominate Patty, who isn't here.
Great thing ChatGPT can spit out. If you put in the restaurant names in the event, it'll write up something. It's like a good use for it.
And we should put it in the next newsletter for sure. I agree. Some of them are actually the people that now sponsor things in the newsletter.
I have a question about the Columbus Avenue BID. Haven't they actually had food truck festivals along Amsterdam or Columbus in the past?
very good question. We should ask Daniel, you know, on their open street, they have restaurants that are right there. Whether or not they do something extra in addition to that is a very good question we should ask.
I don't think they did it since the pandemic, but Hetty may be able to answer that question.
Yeah. We should ask them, but Amy and you, the thing about it has gotten a lot more difficult with food on the street. I know, so I'm sure they would know what the current regulations, because they deal with Saco every single week. They have to get a permit. And all the Make Music New York stuff, which is coming up next Friday, they have to do all the Saco permits now for four different sites. So Michael Gonzalez, so over there handles all of that on a regular basis.
Has anyone received a message from David Wright through BAIP asking people to register for Bloomingdale Bites? Did anybody? I know I received something like that.
Yeah, I did. And I think quite a few of the people who showed up had gotten that email. It was wonderful advertising for us.
It connected me with a Microsoft site. Were you connected with a Microsoft site?
I
Enter-
don't remember that. I just remember it was an advertisement for the event with information about the time and the, place and all that.
I think that was a separate message that he sent out, but there was one to ask people to register, and it was 2 days before the event, or maybe 1 day before the event, and it seemed to be a matter of making sure they did not exceed the capacity of the room.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Bid had an RSVP link, and they sent that out to some of us. I didn't put it in ours because they were asking for RSVPs, but they weren't guaranteeing that people could get in, as Ethan knows very well. So people showed up late, had RSVP'd and couldn't get in and were angry.
Yeah.
That's one thing we're going to have to fix next time, because it was not fair. It was not clear to people that RSVPing basically was just helping us figure out numbers, but it wasn't securing a spot.
But,
But, maybe you have to say, you have to come by a certain time to have it on it. If you're gonna come at the last minute.
or you sell advance tickets.
I think this is something you should discuss at tomorrow's debrief, because one of the other thing that made this complicated was because it was tiered over different times. And the lecturers were, it was kind of a carousel of events, so they did that because they knew that they had excess demand. So I think the hope was that since this ran over, was it 3 hours?
Might have been.
That people would all show up at once, and that way they could accommodate more, otherwise it would have been overwhelmed.
But even by 6:30, the food was largely gone.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we'll discuss on Thursday's meeting. I proposed the idea of timed entries. Maybe that's something to discuss, but I think we'll look at that for the next event because it got a little messy.
I think for the first time out, it was great.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
And these are all like high class problems.
Oh, totally. And I'll just say, I was sitting at the front door, and besides maybe about 5 very angry people, the majority, very, very happy, including people we turned away. We still got thank yous and whatnot. And certainly those that were able to enter as they were leaving, lots and lots of praise and thank yous. So don't mean to mischaracterize it at all. It was very, very successful.
Well, I had a complaint. I'll summarize it. I think there was an older couple who had hearing problems, and they were saying the sound system in the ballroom is terrible.
Hmm.
You can't hear anything. I sat and watched and I could not understand what people were saying. The microphone was not positioned properly. And I kind of agreed with what, at least some of what they were saying. But I also think that some buildings like the library and possibly Marseille have the funds to get a loop that the older people or just people with hearing difficulty can hear better. And maybe Hostelin can't do that at this time. But just keep it in mind that some of us are having trouble hearing as the years go on, and would like to be accommodated in that way.
Another consideration, and I was one of the people who left because I had somewhere else I needed to be. I didn't see the presentations, but my sense, and I could be totally wrong here, was that people didn't go to the presentations, and the fact that they stayed and enjoyed them was serendipitous. But for me, I think the attraction that got a lot of people was a food festival for $10 of real food. It wasn't the like awful food that you get on most street fairs. This was like real local restaurants sampling their food for a very affordable price. And I think what we showed in my mind is that if you're offering great local food, there's a lot of interest. And I think future events having the programming portion may or may not work, but I don't think that, in my mind at least, had any role in attracting people to go to the event.
I like the historical aspect, but I don't know if I'm in the majority. I remember some of the buildings that they were talking about
Yeah,
that are gone, so it was sentimental for me.
I disagree a little bit, Rich, because I stayed until the end and there were, as I said, tables and tables of people paying attention, listening. Maybe they were having trouble hearing, so they were leaning forward and it seemed like interest and maybe they were just trying to hear it. But I do feel like people came partly. I know that Steve Zarinsky, who sent out 2 subsequent emails to his email list. And the first one said there were going to be historical presentations, but also talked about the restaurants. The next day, he had a detailed description of each of the presentations. The first day, he got 5 RSVPs, and the next day, he got 25. So there is an audience there that was interested in that part. Maybe they wouldn't have come if there wasn't food, but
Yeah. So the history group is incredibly popular. Just about every single one of their programs at Austin International. It's packs the room. So, and they are, when they do events at the library, you can't get in because they're so popular. And the same in that room in Austin. So the mailing also went out to all the Bloomingdale Neighborhood History Group. They have a huge and very well earned following. They're just one of the most amazing things we have in the neighborhood. Is the history group. So
And I,
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
to support in part what Rich said, I must confess that both Hetty and I held back on eating the food because we were concerned that there wasn't enough food to go around.
wow, you're so much more admirable than.
Well, I asked Hetty, should I wait? And she said, yeah, wait a little bit.
That's amazing. Gold stars.
And gold stars for the next item, which is the newsletter update.
Oh, I guess that's me. Well, it came out. I hope you all got your copies. I think there were maybe one glitch in one building where the person who just usually distributed it wasn't able to do it, but I think that was the only one. I don't have much more to say about it.
Congratulations on the envelope copy.
Thank
Oh,
you.
done.
Can we track that QR code?
Say that again?
How many clicks has the QR code gotten?
From the newsletter?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, this is the first newsletter in 2 years where we didn't include the QR code. That was a mistake. It was not, we didn't notice it. So there are none from this issue. But it will be back next issue, I promise.
Leadership is zero.
Excellent newsletter. Well done.
Well, we didn't fully cover the election of the officers, but it was well done. The information was there. So thank you, Amy. And thank you, Hetty.
Hetty and Ariana and Avery, who's steadfastly creating this ongoing living index. Terrence for getting all the ads in, and several of you for writing articles for us.
About Ariana, a number of people came to the table during Bloomingdale Bites and thanked us for our newsletter. And I know Ariana had a lot to do with that. Not that she sent the people, but they liked what she did. So the next item is Open Streets Update.
So we have Make Music New York coming up on Friday, the 21st, and it'll be between 12 and 7 p.m. And I should say, Columbus Amsterdam is also running 3 other sites that are in the neighborhood. So anybody who's on the bid list can be aware of actually 4 locations. So there should be lots of music in the neighborhood. Our outreach person, Sarah Yasmin, the good news is that her choreography dance career has taken off. The bad news is that she's no longer able to work for us. So we're in the process of hiring someone else, and I'm kind of taking up the slack with some help from the bid. So that's it. And the street love, we're going to hear about that from Ethan, I believe, and that's really wonderful. We've had as many as 35 people participate. I would show you a picture, which we can't publish because the last time Purple Circle showed up, and they had about 15 kids under 5 with trash bags and gloves, and it was very cute. But we can't show their faces in pictures because they're kids. So
They're good lawyers.
yeah, okay. So Ethan can tell you more. We had we've done 4 now. Every single one, we've had 4 residents here and 4 to 6 youth ambassadors who participated and a bunch of volunteers. So
It's okay if I street love. Yeah. Thanks, Peter. Yes, street love is like Peter said, we've had 4 of them now. They've been happening on Tuesdays. I'd say they've been a great success. Always have several heavy bags of litter, soil, even gave a dead rat a proper burial. So all kinds of fun stuff on the street. Halfway house members and all participants have been engaged, I would say. After our first cleanup event, we did order additional equipment, and we're well stocked now, I'd say, with safety vests, gloves, bags, brooms, pickers, all that good stuff. We get many thank yous from local passing residents, I'd say. Every time I'm out there, we'll get at least 3, 4, 5 thank yous. which I think is great. We also have a informational table on the 103rd Broadway corner. We get some good community engagement there as well. I think the only minor roadblock we've experienced over the past 4 weeks was day after Memorial Day. Department of Sanitation had not had a chance to pick up the routine garbage, which prevented us from doing our work. But we mostly Peter and team were able to reschedule that quickly, and we had a successful event the next day. So overall, really, really good stuff. Any questions? Anything we can answer about Street Love? Thank you. It's
I
great.
think it makes a real difference. I mean, it's really amazing, the difference. And even, and also I've sort of made a point of going on some of the other streets around here. And it's visible.
I agree.
You know.
I agree.
I have a question which Peter might be able to answer. The painted parts of the hugs, is there a plan for them to refresh the painting at any point? You know-
Thank you for asking. We're meeting with, we have a plan in our heads to do one space at a time rather than the 2 blocks, and we're gonna be reviewing that. Actually, Gary, I sent you a text last week, tomorrow at 4 o'clock with the liaison from DOT to do a walkthrough, and it's clear that not only do some need repainting, but there are very serious water drainage problems on the streets. So some of them, the ones that are in the worst shape, are sitting under pools of water, and the paint just peels off. So I'm not sure what to do about that. We're hoping to discuss that as well as other ideas with DOT tomorrow, including, the possibility of is it possible for street sweepers to be able to get in if the hugs were redesigned? On the other hand, if they do, they might strip off whatever's left of the asphalt art. So we're going to talk, that's one of the things that we are going to talk about tomorrow. We do have paint, and we do have resources with the youth ambassadors. DOT still owes our fiscal sponsor, who was Wishfish for the asphalt art, money that they haven't paid, that we had to raise money to lay out, and we intend, when we get paid, they always do pay, they just pay very late, use those funds to do restoration of the existing art. The other unknown is for reasons only known to deep within the mysterious workings of DOT, 103rd Street was not remilled and repaved, as was 102nd and 104th Street during the last remilling, which was incredibly unfortunate, because part of the reason why the asphalt art is standing up so poorly is because the pavement is just so bad, and it would have been very, very nice if that were not the case. So we don't want to expend a lot of effort doing this and then all of a sudden find out that they're remilling and they're redoing everything. So it does require coordination, but we very much hope to be able to get things in ship shape over hopefully during this year. We'll know more tomorrow, so I'll be able to report back.
Well, one of the issues is that it's really not easy to do the milling now, because the half of 103rd Street is now occupied by the NYCHA renovation, and Lord knows how long that's going to take.
Yes.
Until that's
Yes.
done.
And the same is true at Amsterdam, which is part
Yeah.
of, so all of it's the same NYCHA contractor that's responsible for the row houses on between Broadway and West End and on Amsterdam, and all of those things are, you know, present a real town. There's construction in front of the Alexandria, and that's also blocked off, so, we're hoping, I mean, it'd be wonderful, wouldn't it, if all magically that the street were redone and was painted and cleaned up, and there were no more scaffolding and all that was done and finished, but it seems to be an ongoing issue. Whoops, thought you were looking at the
We're running
clock.
close, and anything more on there? If there's time, I wanted to just make one other comment. First of all, I think that the issue of the big granite blocks is one which more people mentioned on that. And I have sort of mixed feelings about it. First, I think they kind of deceived us in doing that, because when I walked, at least the block with D, I thought we were gonna get two planters in each of the hugs, and one granite thing, and it turned out that they had one planter, two granite things, or sometimes three granite things on it, etc. Why I have a bit of a mixed view is that the granite things are really well used out in front of the Versailles, and even on some of the parts further in, people are using them. Although when you get to West End Avenue, not many people are using it. And I'm going to see whether there is a chance of trading off some of those granite blocks for some more planters in that area. If you look at the area between Amsterdam and Broadway, where they don't have the things, it's a much more civilized, calmer piece of the world, and it would be nice to get, even if you only need one granite piece to stop the cars from going in and parking in them. It would be nice to get a slightly different mix, and they haven't replaced the ones up at West End Avenue that they took away across the street over on the other side of the street.
Yeah, we asked that if we could hang on to those, and they said we could.
Yeah, they assumed that they were gonna get us some new ones over on the other side of the street,
On the
on the east side of the street.
on the east side,
Yeah.
right. They do, well, we'll find out more tomorrow. It does seem that the city has less money for all of these programs, including maintenance by the board. So hopefully we'll find out more. Fun fact, there are oysters in those rocks. If you see these shiny little white things, those are oyster shells, because they came, those granite blocks came from the East River.
Yeah.
And the rebuilding of the Willis Avenue Bridge. So,
Where are we meeting tomorrow? To try to make
they're gonna let me know. that-
send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll join.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I can't do the evening, but I can.
4 p.m. It's 4 p.m.
Yeah.
I should just also say that on 102nd Street at 325 West 102nd Street, there was a terrible tree bed there that Ira has adopted and has planted and composting and tends to that on every street look. So it's right next to David Wright building. Go look at it. It's pretty.
What is the location, please?
I believe it is near 325. It's not a and it's an abandoned row house, and it's next to David's building. He claims that there are just raccoons that are living there.
That's 318.
318. Okay, the raccoon house. Anyway, the tree bed is looking a whole lot better. And if you have any suggestions, talk to Ira. Putting a lot of work into that. Kind of a tough tree to make it in New York. And Ray, he had a Zoom link they're really, I can tell you our hosts here at the halfway house are absolutely thrilled and appreciative. And they have not, there are usually four different residents. They're great workers and really enthusiastic and grateful for this. So I encourage anyone to come out and meet them. It's really fun. Right.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're great. Everyone has been.
There's an item for residential parking letter of support. Permit parking letter of support. Does anyone know about that item? It,
I think, I think I remember this was when we thought congestion pricing was gonna happen. And there was concern about parking in the neighborhood.
So let's go on to the next one. We plan to have a July meeting via Zoom in July, and then in August to be discussed. But so far, there's no plan to have a meeting in August that I'm aware of.
If we don't have any items to decide on, we should just take a break in August.
Yes,
So that would mean, next month. Agenda would include any of these items that we don't cover today.
Yeah.
Plus any new ones in the meantime.
okay, does that pretty much cover the agenda for this evening, or is there anything else?
Thank you, Celia and Ginger, for
Yes.
stepping up.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I move that we close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
The
Good night,
meeting-
everyone.
Good
Yeah.
night.
See you on tonight.
Night.
And it's Broadway and 103rd. And the new person, I think I put this in a.
Yeah, you said that she's a
Yeah. Molina Lawrence.
undergraduate, and
You know her?
I don't know her. I charted before she was like that. She's young.
Okay, and I guess I think he actually got a promotion, but he.
Oh,
So.
well deserved.